can come to understand what it is to be human. And they will enrich the way you listen. And you got to learn to listen dimensionally. Sacra pagina, we talk about, the sacred page. Lectio divina, reading from the revelation. But I said there is also visio divina, seeing with God's eyes the life around you. And that's what literature teaches us. It's the lens of empathy, of entering into the life of other people and understanding what that movement means. Now, the second movement is to move with Mary to Christ. Now, what does this add to the sense of discernment? If Mary is basically confirming the understanding of our humanity before God, what is Jesus adding to this? What Jesus is adding to this is the humanity that he presents in his own reality as being governed by the self-donating, the giving of oneself that is God. Now this pushes us to a very important point. Do I think of God as being, by an omnipotent, God can do whatever God wants? Or do I also think of it as God can intervene without any way God wishes? Do I believe that the greatest sign of God's presence in this world are the miracles we look for, the suspension of human reality, and God makes it different, changes it? Or do I believe that through Jesus, that maybe the greatest sign of God are the hidden ways in which God is present in the human? Why is Jesus using parables so often in his life? Because he's taken the reality of divine action that can be so hidden and moving it out of the context so we look at it in a different way. Behold the lilies of the field. Say, yeah, I've seen them before. Is that what Jesus is saying? Have you really taken time to look at them? Have you really taken time to look at the birds of the air? Notice that when Jesus cures, he doesn't cure masses, a whole field of cripples, one at a time. This crippled person, this blind person. In other words, God, through Jesus, is saying, I want you to call attention to the specificity of the way in which God works. For Ignatius Loyola, for example, in the training of his own men, one of the most important moments is what he called experiments. They were sending these men out to different experiences as young men in which they would meet something. So one of them was to go to prisons. And going to the prisons, working in the prisons, Ignatius would say, something will happen. They say, oh yeah, we'll help the people. We'll know they're not alone. We're fulfilling Matthew 25. We're visiting the imprisoned. But Ignatius would say, that's not the point. The point is, by meeting one person you talk to and hearing her or his life, how they got there, the anguish they had, you will be changed. He sent them for a month to hospitals. At the time of Ignatius, people went to hospitals to die, not to live. And most of them in the hospital were people were dying of syphilis. Left there by their family, warehoused. And Ignatius would say, I want the young man in the Society of Jesus to work for a month in those hospitals with people dying of syphilis because something will happen. He'll say, yeah, he said, they'll learn humility. Oh yeah, I know, hospital, cleaning their rear ends and cleaning up vomit. And no, you will hear people who are alone because their families are embarrassed by them, who feel no hope, who now realize in a very, very profound way what sin has done in their life and where they are. They have no hope. And you will learn from their humiliation why you are called to help people, because no one else is there even though they should be. Now, Ignatius felt those kind of experiences, firsthand, one-on-one, was a rich experience of changing a heart from merely being a spectator to being one who really contemplated in action what was happening in the world around. Many missionaries had gone to China, and they tried to bring the gospel and impose it on a people. Matteo Ricci, an Italian Jesuit, went and said, there's something we're doing wrong. And what we're doing is we don't even know the people we're trying to convert. We don't know their language, we don't know their stories, we don't know their science, we don't know their wisdom, and we don't even dress like them, so we don't know what it feels to put on their clothing. And so he changed missiology, the way we go about missions, by learning the language, learning the stories, learning the wisdom, dressing like one of them, and gradually he said, by being a Chinese as much as I could, I learned that long before we came here, God was here. And we are not bringing them God. We are encountering their God with our God. And we believe it's a gift, not an imposition. And we changed. We're going to keep doing it, but we changed the way we go about missiology. So when you pray to Jesus, what you're praying for is, give me that eye that can see in my life, in the particularity of where I live, who I am,